Hey guys, what's up? This is Mel, and I'm here to talk about Vampire Diaries. This time, episode 713, titled This Woman's Work, which premiered Friday, February 19th, 2016, on the CW. And guys, a lot of stuff is revealed in this episode, so how about we just get right into it? So let me just start my 10-minute clock, and let's begin. So what is something new that we learned in this episode? We definitely, a lot of the flashbacks in this episode have to deal with the history behind Reina Cruz. And it actually takes us back to, I believe, 1847. Let me just double check that quickly with my notes. Or 1842 is when we see Reina as a little girl hunting with her, or starting her training with her father, who's actually part of the Brotherhood of the Five. And then later on, 15 years later, was it 1857, I believe it was? Yeah, 1857 is when she first truly encounters Julian, and he's the one who compels her to kill her own father. He would have done it, but otherwise he would have been afflicted with the Hunter's Curse. So that kind of establishes why she's solely hunting down Julian for a while. And then we see in another flashback in 1903 that Reina actually catches up with Julian, Mary Louise, Nora, and Beau. We actually hear Beau singing for the first time, but it's in that moment that she actually marks him. I think she stabs him behind in the back or in the throat from behind or something like that, and he starts bleeding why he can't talk. And then later on, when they're trying to run, Reina throws her sword and impales Julian in the chest, which traps him in the Phoenix Stone for the first time. So that's in 1903, and that is just before all the others go on that ship that is supposed to take them to the U.S., and then when they dock, that's when they get captured by the Gemini Coven and get sent to the prison world. So there's that history. Also, we find out that Enzo is back again, and this time he is unwillingly blackmailing Damon to get the Phoenix Stone or Phoenix Sword for Reina. And apparently when Reina Cruz is reunited with her sword, that's when all the vampires she has marked or have been marked by her sword, they start to bleed. So the moment she gets a sword, Beau's mark on his neck starts to bleed, telling everyone else that she is not only awake, but she has what she needs to go back on the rampage to kill vampires. So they're kind of, they're worried about that though. So we do see, because of this, we see Enzo tied up, so he didn't really have a choice for Reina, but we also see Damon fighting Reina. We see Reina kill Beau, or at least she imprisons him back in the Phoenix Stone. And then we also see when she's about to do the same for Damon, but Stefan steps in, and instead he gets marked by the sword instead of getting imprisoned in the sword itself. So, unfortunately, there's that little dilemma here. And otherwise, before Stefan stepped in, he was dealing with Caroline, who had to go into an emergency C-section for the twins, which had a huge complication, the fact that the twins do not want to leave their magic power source. They actually use their magic to stop the doctors from performing the C-section. So Valerie calls in the other heretics to provide another magic source outside, so the babies would want to feed off of that and kind of leave Caroline. So we definitely see complications with that. That is why Beau and the others are at the hospital when Reina arrives, and that's how Stefan is able to intervene with the fight between Reina and Damon, because they were all at the Whitmore Hospital. So there's that. And we see Alara quickly returning from Dallas. We actually see him on the road to the airport, on the road to town, and then him getting in time just to see his two twin daughters born. So there's that. And we also see in the flash forward at the very end of the episode that 3 years from now, Caroline is in the car on her way to New Orleans to see an old friend, and she's with the twins. So that's how it ends. It's assumed it's Klaus, but I'll get back to it later on. But what was the most shocking moment in the episode? Flash forward for sure. I wasn't expecting Caroline at all to want to go to New Orleans, but it gives me high hopes of the fact of who she is going to go see. So there's that. But yeah, at least it looks like she gets off the phone with Alaric while she's with the twins, and it looks like she's going to try to find refuge somewhere from the looks of it. So there's that, but I'll definitely bring it up later. But a shocking moment in the present day has to be that Enzo mentions that he has a mutual friend with Tyler. Actually, before Damon decides to kill Enzo or not, Enzo reveals the fact that Damon did not kill Elena by burning her body. It turns out that him and Tyler had switched out a decoy, and Damon hallucinated that he burned Elena's body. So apparently Elena's body is actually in New York with their mutual friends. So that was surprising. It's like, when did Enzo not only meet Tyler, but when did he probably, season 5 they probably met, but when did they actually start become buddy-buddy and share the same friend circle outside of the ones in Mystic Falls? So that was a little surprising in itself. It's like, you're already name-dropping Tyler, and like, that's how it's gonna go down, so that was surprising. So top 3 favorite moments of the episode, it has to be, first one has to be Damon not hesitating when it comes to saving Bonnie. Raina Cruz actually gets a wooden stake shot into Bonnie's stomach, and Damon doesn't hesitate to save her. Instead, he throws the Phoenix Sword out the window, so Raina is forced to go after that, and allowing him to heal Bonnie with his blood. And she even thanks him, saying, "You didn't even wait a second, let alone 3," which is reference to the premiere episode, so she thanks him for that. And in this episode, they bring up the fact a lot that Bonnie is Damon's best friend. Enzo brings it up. They bring it up to each other as well, and I really like that for sure. They even mentioned that outside of Alaric, Bonnie may be his only friend, which is kind of sad, but I like that they keep reassuring the fact that Bonnie is this important figure in Damon's life. I really like that. Next favorite moment has to be the Stefan Caroline montage that we see moments after Stefan gets marked by the Phoenix Sword. I know it's not supposed to be a good thing, but it's like, it's kind of supposed to represent like the whole idea of your life flashing before your eyes, moments before you die. But what I liked about this scene, though, was the fact that we see from Stefan's point of view what his, highlights are in his life. And that involves all of his memories dealing with Caroline. And they're all progressing however long they've known each other, which is 7 seasons. So I really like that. It's definitely a little nostalgic moment going on there for sure, and it made it even more heartbreaking, the fact that now that Stefan was marked, he had to run to keep Raina away from everybody instead of going back to Caroline, who just gave birth to the twins. So there's that. Another favorite moment has to be when Alaric introduces the twins to Caroline, and we actually get their names officially, and that is the one twin is named Josette or Josie after their mother, and then Alaric named the second twin Elizabeth after Caroline's mom. So I really like that. It seemed like Caroline was completely surprised by the name Elizabeth being used, and I think she appreciated it, and it really showed that Alaric truly is thankful for what Caroline gave to him. She gave him these 2 sources of happiness that he didn't think he would ever have. So I really liked that. It was definitely about time that they finally had a moment together with each other. Because, yeah. And I can't wait for future moments too, even though I am a Stefan Caroline fan. But even though we know that they are engaged in the future, I want to see how they get to that moment. So I'm just saying. Okay, top 3 peeved moments. First one, it still is the fact that Enzo released the Huntress. I don't understand why he would do it. Enzo, a vampire, why would you wake up a vampire hunter whose sole urge and mission is to kill all vampires or imprison them in this personal hellstone? I mean, I don't get what motivation Enzo had to doing that without risking his own life. Or was he naive to think that he could restrain her? Kind of like how Davina thought she can restrain Michael with magic back in season 2 of the originals. So it irritated me so much, because while, yes, Enzo killed old Raina, he could have found some way to make her not be reborn again into her younger self. For all you know, he could have finished her off once and for all if he knew how, or at least he could have stopped her from, or at least prolonged her being reborn again. It doesn't make sense why a vampire would wake up or help being whose sole purpose is to eliminate your species. It just makes no sense. So that's what irritated me. Another thing that irritated me, the Damon Crystal dance party at the beginning of the episode. I mean, Damon wasn't really all that into it like he was with Vicky's dance party back in season 1, but just, I found it pointless. It was irritating. And then Crystal was just dancing around in her underwear. And it's just like, I don't need it. It's like, why? I don't want to see this. It's bad enough that basically Damon cheated. Okay, there's a timer. It's like, I know Damon's not going to be faithful for 60 years, but it would have been a nice thought. But no, he didn't even wait a year. He even mentioned it to Bonnie, that he didn't even wait a year until doing anything like that. But just Crystal was so irritating. It's just like, no. I did appreciate the teasing from Bonnie, because at least, I don't know. I just did not like it at all. What will I remember most about this episode? Next section. Fact that the twins were born. That's going to be a big one. The fact that we learned a lot about Raina Cruz and the fact that she came to town is going to be another one for sure. So there's that. Random questions. So first one is, what's the difference between marking or getting marked by the Phoenix Sword and then having your soul sucked into the Phoenix Sword? Because when Raina got that, what am I going to say? Okay, when Raina used the sword on Stefan, it looked like she stabbed him in the heart. And it looked like he was going to be sucked into the sword too. But it just turns out that she only marked him. So does that mean that just getting a bloody scratch from the Phoenix Sword is enough to mark the vampire, as opposed to if the whole sword is actually impaled into the heart of the vampire, then that's when they're imprisoned in the Phoenix Sword? It's just, I thought for sure when Stefan got hit with that sword that he was going to be stuck in the Phoenix Sword again, but apparently he wasn't. So that, it kind of confused me. What's the difference, or how are they differentiating between the two? So let me know in the comments below if you think I'm on the same theory, or if that's how it's going to work. But is just a simple scratch from the Phoenix Sword is what marks you, and then having the sword actually impaled in your chest or your heart is what has the sword sucking your soul into the stone? I think that's what I've gotten it to on the mechanics behind it, but let me know if you think that's right or if I'm on the right track. It'd be nice to know for sure. Next question. How can we stop Raina Cruz permanently? Do we have to destroy the sword in order to destroy her ability to resurrect and have all these special abilities with her? Because during that whole flashback with the shaman ritual, they did say that link this sword to her soul. So I'm wondering if they have to unlink it, or if destroying the soul means destroying her. So that's always an option. Also, how about just disposing of her body to begin with? I know that sounds awful, but it's already been done on the show before. We saw Silas chain and lock Stefan in a vault before he drowns him in the quarry. We see the same thing pretty much happening to Tristan back on the originals. So why can't the same be done for Raina? Why can't they just chain her up in a box and then drown her in like the biggest ocean part, and then like put a cloaking spell on her so that no one is able to find her, and then that's it? I mean, she's not a vampire, so it's not like she'd die and then wake up, die and then wake up, and then she would just die, be stuck in a pine box, and then that's it. Because I'm assuming her body would have to be burned in order for her to be returned back into a younger version of herself. So did anyone ever try that before, or did they not think of it? Because there has to be some way to stop her, because she did start off as a regular human before, and it just so happens that some shaman ritual made her into this version of a hunter. So it's just, how are we going to stop her for sure? And that's pretty much my only questions there. So moving on to predictions. Based off the promo for 7/14, we get Stefan going to New Orleans, and he runs into Klaus. Now it makes sense why he goes to New Orleans, because now he's on the run from Raina. So he goes to New Orleans because he hears of a place where there no magic can penetrate through it, which is the Algiers safe house that they created last season because of Dahlia. So Stefan goes there, and he happens to run into Klaus and gets sucked in all that later in the second part of the crossover event on the originals in 3/14. So that's going to be fun for sure. Based off the synopsis, though, for 714, we get Damon trying to find a way to stop Reina so that Stefan can stop running. He teams up with Enzo and Bonnie from the looks of it. We also apparently see Caroline deciding whether or not to follow Alaric to Dallas with the twins. And yes. Also, saw on Tumblr, apparently there's supposed to be some Klaus and Caroline phone call happening in this episode. Not sure about that. Also in the promo, you see Tyler appearing, and that's the extended promo. So there's that. It also looks like he has some fangs of some sort. So it's either it looks like the vampire fangs, but it's been a while since I saw just the werewolf fangs. So I'm kind of confused there, since we do know that Tyler is still just a werewolf, unless he somehow became a hybrid without us knowing. So there's always that question right there. And flash forward prediction, though, based off of how this episode ended with Caroline wanting to go to New Orleans to see an old friend, flash forward prediction for 714 would be Caroline actually meeting that old friend. And it's either going to be Klaus, and if it is, that means that confirms that he is still alive in 3 years, which means he survives this whole prophecy thing, or it's someone else. Chances are if it's not Klaus that Caroline's going to see, then maybe it's someone who's not connected to the prophecy, therefore not giving away to the fact that the major characters in the prophecy live or die or not. So that's my prediction for that one. Also, synopsis talks about a group called the Armory, and I think that we're going to get more information about that explored because Enzo is involved with them, so hopefully we get that. But that's about it for all my predictions. What did you guys think of the episode? Was what you expected? Is there moments you wish could have gone differently, or that you liked how it went down? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. Also, if you want a more detailed version of what happened in the episode, a play-by-play if you will, check out my live journal account. The link will be down below in the description box, and as well as my in-moment thoughts that I had while watching the episode for the first time. Also, if you want more news and information about Vampire Diaries, check out my Tumblr. Link for that will be down below for the fandom in general, or for the episode specifically. I reblog promos, episode synopses, stills, gifs, quotes, sneak peeks, any of that whenever it pops up on my dashboard. So easy way to find all that in one place. And yep, that's about it. So thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope you come back next week to see what I have to say about the crossover event. And until then, this is Mel wishing you all a great day, great week, wherever you are. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye for now.